You wake up. The alarm hasn't gone off yet, but you're already awake because your hips won't let you sleep. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and for a few seconds you just sit there. Not because you want to, because your knees need a moment before they're willing to cooperate. You grip the nightstand, stand up slowly, and you think, I used to just jump out of bed. You head to the kitchen. Your fingers feel thick this morning, a little puffy. Pouring the coffee is fine, but buttoning your shirt later, that's going to take patience. Your lower back has been talking to you all week, not screaming, just a constant nagging whisper that something isn't quite right. And here is the part I really need you to hear. You probably told yourself that's just aging, that this is what 60, 70, 80 feels like. That the stiffness, the fatigue, the blood pressure creeping upward, the legs that feel like they're wading through water, that this is simply the price of getting older. I am here today to tell you that is not entirely true. Because here's what the science is now showing us with remarkable clarity. A significant portion of what we feel as getting older, the joint pain, the heavy limbs, the rising blood pressure, the exhaustion, is actually the physical expression of something called silent inflammation. Not the inflammation you see when you cut your finger and it swells up red. Not the obvious kind. This is a slow, invisible, cellular-level fire that has been quietly burning inside your body, possibly for years. And the shocking part? For millions of Americans over 60, the primary fuel source for that fire is sitting right now, in your pantry. In bags and jars and little packages you probably consider healthy. In the very snacks you might be reaching for while you watch this video. Today we are going to audit that pantry together. We are going to walk through what to remove, what to add, and precisely why, backed by real science and real stories from real people just like you. And by the end of this video, you are going to have a clear, simple, actionable plan that could change how you feel within a matter of weeks. Let's start with understanding the enemy. Inside every cell in your body, there is a constant balancing act happening. Two families of fatty acids are competing for the same molecular pathways. On one side, omega-6 fatty acids, which in the right amounts help your immune system respond to threats. On the other side, omega-3 fatty acids, which tell that immune response to calm down once the threat is gone. In a healthy body, these two sides exist in roughly a 4-to-1 ratio. 4 parts omega-6 to 1 part omega-3. That's the balance humans evolved with for tens of thousands of years. But researchers at the University of Maryland and published studies in the Journal of Nutrition have confirmed that most modern Western adults, especially those over 60, are now living with an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of anywhere from 15-to-1 to 25-to-1. What does that actually mean in your body? It means your immune system is stuck in a state of permanent low-grade activation. It is perpetually releasing pro-inflammatory compounds called cytokines into your bloodstream. These cytokines seep into your joints, thickening the synovial fluid and causing that morning stiffness you know so well. They stiffen the walls of your arteries, causing your heart to work harder and your blood pressure to climb. They even penetrate muscle tissue, gradually degrading the proteins that keep your muscles strong and functional. This is silent inflammation. And the most common driver of this imbalance is what you're eating, specifically certain seeds and oils that have infiltrated the American diet in the last 50 years. Now let's go into your pantry and find them. Sunflower seeds, the misleading health snack. Sunflower seeds, they're in everything. Trail mix, granola bars, bread loaves, salad toppings. They've been marketed as a heart-healthy snack for decades. And here is why that messaging is dangerously incomplete for older adults. A single ounce of sunflower seeds delivers roughly 9.7 grams of omega-6 fatty acids and barely a trace of omega-3. When you eat a typical afternoon serving, the kind that comes in those little portable bags, you are swinging your fatty acid ratio from a manageable level toward that dangerous 18-to-1 or higher. Research published in Nutrients confirms that this kind of imbalance directly promotes the production of arachidonic acid in the body, a compound that triggers the inflammatory cascade at the cellular level, the very cascade that produces joint flare-ups and arterial stiffness. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 72 years old and lives outside of Phoenix, Arizona. For 3 years, she had been managing what her doctor called moderate inflammatory arthritis. Her CRP levels, that's C-reactive protein, the standard blood marker for inflammation, were chronically elevated. She was eating what she genuinely believed was a healthy diet. She walked every day. She limited sugar. But every afternoon, she had a handful of sunflower seeds while reading because she'd read they were good for her heart. When Margaret worked with a nutrition coach and eliminated sunflower seeds entirely, replacing them with walnuts, her CRP levels dropped 42% in just over 2 months. Her morning joint stiffness decreased significantly. She told her coach she felt like she had gotten some of herself back. Margaret didn't need new medication. She needed a different afternoon snack. If sunflower seeds are in your pantry, it's time to take a serious look at the label. Cottonseed oil, the ghost in your processed foods. This one surprises almost everyone because most people never knowingly buy cottonseed oil. You're not reaching for it off the shelf. But here's the problem. It is quietly hiding in an enormous number of packaged foods. Certain crackers, potato chips, baked snacks, and fried products. If you flip over any bag of snack food in your kitchen right now, there is a real chance cottonseed oil appears in that ingredient list. So why is this a problem specifically for seniors? Cotton is not a food crop. It was never grown to be eaten. As a result, cottonseed contains a naturally occurring compound called gossypol, a toxin that protects the cotton plant from insects. When cottonseed is processed into oil for commercial use, gossypol is supposed to be refined out. But research published in PMC and the National Institutes of Health confirms that in cheaper formulations, residual gossypol can remain. And gossypol, even in small accumulating doses, has been shown to cause cellular disruption in cardiac muscle tissue. What does that feel like? It can feel like fatigue, a heart that seems to flutter or skip, an exhaustion that sits deep in the chest and doesn't respond to rest. Joan is 70 years old. For almost 18 months, she had been experiencing a deep, bone-level tiredness and what she described as occasional funny feelings in her chest. A faint flutter, not quite a palpitation, but close. Her cardiologist ran every standard test and found nothing alarming. She assumed it was simply aging. She accepted it as her new normal. It was her daughter who spotted it. She was reading the ingredient panel on Joan's favorite brand of cheese crackers. Cottonseed oil, right there, listed third. They made one change. They systematically replaced every snack product containing cottonseed oil with alternatives using olive oil or avocado oil. Within 6 weeks, Joan's fatigue had noticeably lifted, and the chest fluttering had not returned. Is it guaranteed that cottonseed oil caused Joan's symptoms? There's no way to be certain from a single case. But is it worth checking every label in your house right now? Absolutely. Without question. Sesame seeds, a hidden bone thief. Sesame seeds are ancient and in many ways genuinely nutritious. They contain calcium, magnesium, and iron. But for seniors, especially those managing osteoporosis or low bone density, there is a critical catch that almost no one talks about. Sesame seeds are exceptionally high in phytic acid, also called phytate. Phytic acid is what scientists call an anti-nutrient. It physically binds to minerals like calcium and zinc inside your digestive tract and prevents your body from absorbing them. Research published in PMC confirms that sesame seeds carry a higher concentration of phytate than most legumes. Healthline has similarly reported that both oxalates and phytates in sesame seeds significantly reduce the absorption of the very minerals that make them appear nutritious. For a 65-year-old woman whose body is already struggling to retain calcium in her bones, eating sesame-covered crackers or tahini paste regularly could actually be contributing to mineral depletion rather than supporting it, especially if sesame seeds are being consumed as a primary calcium source. There is also a growing and underreported concern. Adult-onset sesame allergies are rising sharply in adults over 50. The FDA recently designated sesame as a major allergen, and allergists are seeing more senior patients developing reactions they never had before, ranging from hives to digestive distress. If you've noticed unexplained skin reactions or gut issues and sesame is regular in your diet, it may be worth discussing with your doctor. The chia seed warning. Please share this with everyone you know. Now, I want to stop and spend a full moment on this because this is genuinely a safety issue that is not widely known, and it primarily affects older adults. Chia seeds are often promoted as a superfood, and in many ways they are. They're rich in omega-3s and fiber, but there is a physical property of dry chia seeds that makes them potentially dangerous, particularly for anyone with any difficulty swallowing, slower digestion, or a history of acid reflux or esophageal issues. Dry chia seeds can absorb up to 27 times their own weight in water. When you consume them dry, sprinkled on yogurt without being pre-soaked, or tossed into a smoothie and drunk quickly, they begin absorbing moisture the moment they hit the moisture-rich environment of your throat and esophagus. A case published by the American Gastroenterological Association, a case that made headlines in medical circles, documented a patient who consumed a tablespoon of dry chia seeds followed by water and ended up in the emergency room with a complete esophageal impaction, a blockage so severe it required endoscopic removal. This is not a rare theoretical concern. A Harvard-affiliated physician has publicly stated that consuming dry chia seeds without soaking them is a genuine choking and obstruction hazard, particularly for patients with any history of swallowing difficulty or slow gut motility, both of which become more common with age. Here is what we call the golden rule for chia seeds. If you are going to eat chia seeds, and they can be wonderful for your health, you must soak them first in water or liquid for a minimum of 30 minutes before consuming. They will form a thick gel. That gel is safe. That gel is actually what activates their nutritional properties most effectively. Dry chia seeds are not safe for seniors. Pre-soaked chia seeds can be genuinely beneficial. Please write that down. And if you have a parent or grandparent who is adding dry chia seeds to their cereal, please share this video with them today. Part 2. The Pantry Audit. What to add? Now here is where the hope lives. Because for every item we've removed, there is a powerful, natural, evidence-backed replacement waiting to take its place. And these aren't exotic supplements. They're foods you can find in any grocery store. Walnuts, brain food, sleep food, heart food. If you could only add one food to your daily routine after watching this video, it would be a small handful of walnuts. Here is why. Walnuts are the richest whole food plant source of ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, the essential omega-3 fatty acid that directly begins to rebalance that dangerous fatty acid ratio we talked about earlier. Research published in Nutrients and the journal Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience confirms that regular walnut consumption supports cognitive function, protects against age-related brain tissue degeneration, and supports the kind of neural connections that keep your mind sharp as you age. But here is the detail about walnuts that genuinely surprises people. They are one of the only foods in the world that naturally contain melatonin. Research confirmed by the California Walnut Commission shows walnuts contain approximately 3.5 nanograms of melatonin per gram, a biologically meaningful amount for sleep support. For seniors whose sleep cycles naturally shift and shorten with age, eating a small handful of walnuts in the evening is not just snacking. It is supporting the neurological repair that happens during deep sleep, the same repair that protects against cognitive decline. 8 to 10 walnut halves per day. That is the dose. That is your new afternoon ritual. Ground flax seeds, the quiet blood pressure champion. Ground flax seeds may be the single most underappreciated food in senior nutrition. Let's be absolutely precise about two things. First, they must be ground. Whole flax seeds pass through the digestive system virtually intact because the human gut cannot break down their tough outer hull. Only ground or milled flax seeds release their active compounds into your bloodstream. Buy ground flax or buy whole flax and grind it yourself. Store it in the refrigerator once opened. Second, the blood pressure evidence for ground flax is extraordinary. The landmark flax pad trial, published in the journal Hypertension by the American Heart Association, showed that consuming just 30 grams of ground flax daily, about 2 tablespoons, produced a significant, measurable reduction in systolic blood pressure in patients with elevated readings. A subsequent meta-analysis confirmed a mean reduction of 8.64 millimeters of mercury systolic blood pressure across multiple controlled trials. For context, that is a reduction comparable to what many low-dose blood pressure medications deliver, achieved through a food that also fights inflammation, supports gut bacteria, and provides omega-3 fatty acids simultaneously. 2 tablespoons of ground flax stirred into oatmeal, yogurt, or a smoothie every single morning. That is the prescription. Pumpkin seeds, the magnesium miracle for aching legs. If you have ever been jolted awake at 2 in the morning by a screaming cramp in your calf, and if you're over 60, there is a very good chance you know exactly what that feels like. Magnesium deficiency is almost certainly involved. A single ounce of pumpkin seeds, what's known as pepitas, delivers approximately 150 milligrams of magnesium, which is nearly 40% of the daily recommended intake for older adults. Magnesium is what allows your muscle fibers to release after a contraction. Without adequate magnesium, muscles cramp, clench, and cannot fully relax. This applies not only to your calves, but to your heart muscle, your back muscles, and the muscles that support your joints. Pumpkin seeds are also rich in zinc and tryptophan, the precursor to serotonin, which converts to melatonin. Research published by nutritional scientists and confirmed by multiple studies shows that eating pumpkin seeds approximately an hour before bed directly supports deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. A small handful of pumpkin seeds as your evening snack, alongside those walnuts, is a powerful, natural, drug-free sleep and muscle support protocol. Hemp seeds, the most balanced seed for the aging body. Hemp seeds are what nutritionists sometimes call the most complete seed for human aging, and here's exactly why. Hemp seeds contain a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 that hovers around 3 to 1, naturally close to that healthy 4 to 1 balance we discussed. But what truly sets hemp seeds apart is their content of GLA, gamma-linolenic acid. GLA is a rare, specific omega-6 fatty acid that, unlike most other omega-6s, actually has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. It works by interrupting the inflammatory signaling cascade before it reaches the joints. Research published in PMC and confirmed by studies on arthritis patients shows that GLA supplementation significantly reduces joint pain, swelling, and morning stiffness in patients with chronic inflammatory conditions. Hemp seeds are also highly digestible, soft, with a mild nutty flavor. They are almost ideal for seniors who struggle with swallowing harder foods or who have sensitive digestion. 3 tablespoons sprinkled on salad, yogurt, oatmeal, or mixed into a smoothie delivers a full serving of anti-inflammatory GLA, along with approximately 10 grams of complete protein, meaning hemp seeds contain all 9 essential amino acids needed for muscle repair. Let me tell you about Emma. Emma is 76 years old. She had been an avid gardener for most of her adult life. It was her joy, her meditation, her independence. But for 2 years before she made this change, she couldn't do it anymore. Her hands hurt. Her knees hurt. Getting down to the soil, even with knee pads, was too painful. She felt like she was losing herself. Her naturopath suggested 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds daily in her morning yogurt. After 8 weeks, Emma was back in her garden. Not pain-free, let's be realistic, but functional, meaningfully better. She told her family that adding hemp seeds didn't feel like medicine, it just felt like food. And it is. It is just food that also happens to tell your inflamed joints to stand down. The science behind the change, the gut-muscle axis. Here is the deeper why that ties all of this together. And this is genuinely one of the most exciting areas of modern nutrition science. Researchers have now confirmed the existence of what is called the gut-muscle axis, a direct biochemical communication pathway between the bacteria living in your gut and the health and strength of your muscle tissue. When your gut microbiome is disrupted by poor diet, specifically by an inflammatory high omega-6 dietary pattern, it begins releasing compounds that travel through your bloodstream and directly degrade muscle protein. Your muscles literally break down faster than they can be repaired. This process has a clinical name, sarcopenia, the age-related progressive loss of muscle mass. And for years, it was considered an inevitable consequence of aging. Doctors told their patients, "You're going to lose muscle strength as you get older. That's normal." But that is not completely true. Research published in Frontiers in Microbiology and confirmed by a 2025 review in Gut Muscle Axis Crosstalk found that gut microbiota dysbiosis is a primary driver of sarcopenia, and that dietary interventions specifically targeting the anti-inflammatory fatty acid balance can slow, halt, and in some cases partially reverse this process. The seeds we've discussed today, walnuts, ground flax, pumpkin seeds, and hemp seeds, are not just anti-inflammatory. They are direct building blocks of gut microbiome health. They feed the beneficial bacteria that send muscle protective signals to your body. They are, in the most literal nutritional sense, telling your body to preserve its strength. Muscle loss is not inevitable. It is, in part, a dietary problem. And dietary problems have dietary solutions. A sample recovery day. Putting it all together. Here is what a single day could look like when you begin this pantry shift. This is your anti-inflammatory template. Morning, circulation and repair. Start your day with a glass of warm water with lemon to activate your digestive system. 15 minutes later, have your breakfast. A bowl of steel-cut oatmeal or plain Greek yogurt with 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds stirred thoroughly into the base. Add a light drizzle of raw honey if you prefer sweetness. This combination delivers your blood pressure-supporting lignans, your omega-3 fatty acids, and your gut-feeding fiber, all in one bowl. Mid-morning, a small glass of fresh celery and cucumber juice, or plain water with a few slices of fresh ginger. Both support circulation and lymphatic movement. A cup of green tea provides gentle anti-inflammatory catechins. No highly processed crackers or snack bars. Check those labels. Lunch. A mixed green salad with 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds sprinkled generously over the top, dressed with extra virgin olive oil and lemon. Add a protein of your choice. Salmon is ideal for its EPA and DHA omega-3 content. Include half an avocado for heart-healthy monounsaturated fat. Afternoon snack, 8 to 10 walnut halves. That's it. That's simple. If you need something more substantial, pair them with a small slice of whole grain bread or a piece of low glycemic fruit like a small apple. Dinner. A warm, nourishing meal. Lentil soup, roasted chicken, poached fish, or a bean-based stew. A small side of roasted sweet potato provides potassium for blood pressure and magnesium for muscle support. 1 hour before bed, a small bowl of full-fat cottage cheese, a rich source of casein protein, which digests slowly overnight and delivers amino acids to your muscles during the peak repair window of deep sleep. Stir in 1 more tablespoon of ground flax seeds. Top with a small handful of pumpkin seeds. This nighttime snack is what body repair scientists would consider a nearly perfect muscle preservation protocol for older adults. A glass of warm chamomile tea to close the day. The closing. Aging does not have to mean getting weaker. I want to end this video by saying something I mean deeply and without reservation. You are not broken. The stiffness in your joints, the sluggishness in your legs, the blood pressure numbers that have been creeping upward, these are not a verdict. They are not the final word on who you are or what your body is capable of. In many cases, they are messages. Messages written in inflammation, delivered through pain, sent by a body that has been working incredibly hard with the wrong fuel. The changes we've walked through today are not complicated. They do not require a prescription. They do not require expensive supplements or a complete dietary overhaul overnight. They require awareness, a willingness to read a label, and the decision to trade one handful of sunflower seeds for a handful of walnuts. To swap one packaged cracker with cottonseed oil for something with a clean ingredient list. To add 2 tablespoons of ground flax to your morning routine and 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds to your lunch. Margaret got 42% of her inflammation markers back just by changing an afternoon snack. Joan's heart fluttering faded when she stopped unknowingly feeding herself a processing plant oil hidden in crackers. Emma is gardening again. These are not miracles. These are the results of small, consistent, scientifically grounded decisions made at the pantry level. Right now, before this video ends, I want you to do one thing. Go to your pantry, pick up 1 bag or box of your most used snack food, flip it over, read the ingredient list. Look for sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, or sesame seeds used as a primary ingredient. If you find them, that is your starting point. That is the first thing to change. And then come right back here to the comments section. Tell me what you found. Tell me how long you've been dealing with the stiffness, the fatigue, or the blood pressure numbers. Tell me if you've tried any of these swaps before. This community, these thousands of people watching alongside you right now, they are your support network. They are proof that you are not alone in this. Because you deserve to feel strong. You deserve to move through your mornings with ease. You deserve to get down in your garden, to walk to the mailbox without wincing, to sleep through the night without leg cramps jolting you awake. None of that is gone. For many of you, it is simply buried under a layer of silent, pantry-fueled inflammation that you now have the knowledge to address. Aging does not have to mean getting weaker. It doesn't. The science says so. Margaret and Joan and Emma say so. Now go check those labels, and I will see you in the next video.